And just like that, all right, I'm Charles Morris. Welcome to Youth Central Sports, and happy to have you with me here on this Wednesday evening. My prayers, and I'm making phone calls for those up there in the north here. We're actually kind of feeling some of the weather, but they're having a tough time up north here on the East Coast up north with the weather. Man, it's crazy, dumping lots of snow, wind, and even here in Central Florida, on the southeast versus the northeast, we had some tornadoes, high winds, rain, cool. So it's kind of crazy. So keep the Northeast in your prayers right now. Again, I'm Charles Morris. Welcome to Youth Central Sports. And we come your way every Wednesday at 11 p.m. And I've been saying for the past 3 weeks, that Vince Carter will join us. Well, I got a text from Vince, and Vince is still on the weather. He sent me a couple of pictures to let me know, because I've had five knee surgeries, so I know what it's like. Vince is usually here with me, and a few weeks ago he fell and tore something in his knee, and he's recovering from surgery, and it's going a little slow. So I thought he was going to be with us week before last, and I thought he was going to be with us last week, and I certainly thought he was going to be with us this week. But he texted me and said that he's still dealing with the recovery, and that he asked that we give him one more week. And of course, we want to wish him well. And it's a slow recovery. Understand it's a serious. When I say serious, I meant by it takes time for those tendons to heal that he tore. And so he showed me his little walker, and I asked him, he sent me a picture of his walker. And I said, so what's his name? And so he kind of sent back a little like, haha. But anyway, we want to wish Vince well. He's up in Tennessee. I asked him how his basketball team was doing. I think he said they went 25-5 or something like that, but they lost in the second round or something like that. But he'll give us the update, and he said that he'll do his best to be with us next week. A lot been going on since Vince been gone, so I had a lot of questions I wanted to bounce off of him. And one of the things that we want to do is that we definitely want to get you interacting with us. We wanted to kind of lay the ground to kind of establish things between ourselves and here at Youth Central Sports, something that we started a while back when we used to do radio. But part of Youth Central Connection is my nonprofit that I've had around since early 2002, 2003, somewhere around up in there. And Youth Central Youth Central Connection is just a mentoring program through my nonprofit. So I do a youth summit every year and a few other things, and teaching kids TV and radio production, along with going out and speaking to kids and that type of thing. So that is a lot what Vince does as well. So we do a joint venture. We support each other, and we try to do what we can to help each other out, because, as you know, we have a serious national crisis in what's going on in our country, and how we have failed our youth and our kids, the community, and how the family has been broken down. And that's a whole nother show, but we're going to have to try to do better. And so we try to do what we can. We can always do more, always do a lot more. So again, I'm Charles Morris. Happy to have you with me here on this Wednesday evening, talking a little about sports. And so you know what's heavy in sports, and that's the NCAA basketball, what we better known as March Madness. And wanted to kind of go over, I like to start out because I am a big NIT fan, because I love the NIT as well. So I'm going to kind of go over the NIT like I did last week. Then I'm going to talk a little about the women NCAA. Then we're going to talk about the men's NCAA and we're going to see if we can fill that hour real quick. And again, I do apologize that Vince is not here, but we do want to wish him well. Very exciting time of the year. And also want you to know that we are brought to you by the Rejuvenation Center, and want you to know that for those who need to do a little research on the P shot and the O shot, I really advise you to do a little research. And with Dr. Woods, who can answer your questions, even though you may not be here in the Central Florida area, he can point you in the right direction, both men and women, who, if you would like to find out more, if you would like to take the P shot or the O shot, he can point you in the direction who you need to talk to. He can give you questions that you need to ask, and he probably can answer all of your questions. I would say give him a call. I just kind of threw that out there real quick, but here is this number at 407-830-4770. I'm going to play his little promo. You can talk to him or either Eddie Jumper at the Urology Center. Center for Urology at 407-830-4777. The Rejuvenation Center there as well is what they call it. So I would say to you, research the P shot and the O shot. Trust me. You will not be disappointed. But anyway, let me go here. Let me see if I can pull up the NIT real quick, because I want to talk about that for a brief moment. See if I can find it. Okay. Now I have to put on my glasses here. Let me see if this is right here. No, that's the women. Okay. The NIT. Let's see if I can see this right here. So as of right now, you can tell I must be getting old because I'm looking at the computer. Look like Penn State and Mississippi State. Oh, Mississippi State beat Louisville. I did not know that. And Penn State beat Marquette. And it's funny because I have a friend that lives up that actually went to Western Kentucky, and he's been up there. He left high school, went to Georgia for 2 years, and left the 2-year school in Georgia. He was a phenomenal basketball player and hurdler in track. So for whatever odd reason, he decided he didn't want to do basketball anymore. He just wanted to focus on track. So he went to Western Kentucky, finished up his 2-year eligibility in track. So he's been up in Kentucky for a very long time. And I called him yesterday and I asked him about, how he felt about where Kentucky is and Louisville and the NIT, because they are basketball crazy up there. I mean, when I say basketball crazy, they are basketball crazy. So with Rick Pitino leaving, which we know somebody somewhere is going to hire him, ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about that. He will eventually be coaching again, whether you agree or disagree, but he will be coaching again. He's a great coach, but all of that goes on in NCAA, whether it's football, basketball, and sports in general, it doesn't matter. It could be the swim team. It could be lacrosse. For all the stuff that goes on, people act like, they can be blind to it, but it's been going on since the beginning of time. And I don't know, again, I made a comment and I talked about it, and I don't know how they'll be able to get a handle on it because it starts so young, when the kids are young. And now with the sneakers and the AAU and all of this that goes on with these kids when they're 8, 9 years old, and the parents feed into it, society has fed into it, all the money that's underneath the table, and the fact that you walk in the door thinking that you should be accepting this money in the first place, and what goes on the campuses and all of that. And when you're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar industry, I don't know how you're going to put a handle on it. I just don't. Unfortunately, we act like it does not happen. Now, back to the NIT. Okay. Let's see here. Excuse my glasses. Reading glasses. The games to be played. Western Kentucky is taking on Oklahoma State. And Utah Was that? It's kind of hard to see. Was that something St. Mary? So, oh man, Western Kentucky and Oklahoma State. That's supposed to be on ESPN too. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but we will see how that's going to go. All right. And St. Mary in Utah will determine the Final Four. So, with Penn being there and Mississippi State being there, and then it'll be either Oklahoma State or Western Kentucky or St. Mary out of California versus Utah, which Utah really, they beat LSU, and Oklahoma State beat Stanford. And so the Final Four looks like it's either going to be, well, it's already Penn State and Mississippi State, and then Western Kentucky, either Western Kentucky or Oklahoma State. And, well, we will get back to that because that game will be ending real soon. So, with that being said, let's go to the women. The women, I love watching the ladies. I love watching the ladies. I do. So, let me see. UConn. Oh, my goodness. Did you see where I think they scored, UConn scored like 90 points in the first half against the 16 seed that they played? Wow. That was a sure rout. But they are the favorite, of course. It looks like they're going to be playing Duke next. Yeah? Okay. All right. And we got... See, and I'm sorry because this, let me see, can I? Okay, no, I can't. I thought I might be able to blow this up, but I can't. So I was hoping that I could, but let me see if I can. I'm sorry, I apologize, but it's, okay. Let me do this. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. I made a boo-boo. Try it one more time. Do it like this. All right. I did it, but it's still... Okay. I apologize, people. Okay. In South Carolina. Oh, really? I'm looking at this Texas A&M and Notre Dame, Central Michigan and Oregon, Mississippi State and North Carolina State. UCLA will be playing Texas, Oregon State, and I really can't see who that is. Is that Baylor? Is that Baylor? Yeah, that is Baylor and Oregon State. And so with that being said, and I do want to apologize to you, but I'm dealing with allergies and those type of things. But that's what's going on with the women. And so it looks like I'm trying to look and see who will be giving UConn probably the coming out of, let me see, Duke. Then South Carolina is always tough. Notre Dame, Texas A&M. So it looks like it's either going to be Texas A&M, South Carolina if Duke don't really give them a game. We're talking right now only about UConn. Again, this is Youth Central Sports. I'm Charles Morse, and today's show is brought to you by the Center of Urology. And I'm telling you, please, 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 please research the P shot and the O shot, my friends, and you will not be disappointed. I promise you. And call up Dr. Woods at 407-830-4777 as I try to deal with my little allergies here. I'm sorry about that. But again, check out the P shot and the O shot, and call and ask as many questions as you can. Look up some of the YouTube videos, and it probably answer a lot of your questions, and it might be able to help, as Dr. Wood would say, putting you back in the game. All right. Now that we have talked about the women, well, you know what we didn't talk about on the other. Okay. Mississippi State. He's a North Carolina State, Maryland, UCLA. No, I'm sorry. That's Mississippi State versus North Carolina State, UCLA in Texas, Louisville, Stanford, Oregon State, and Baylor. Okay. See, I love women's basketball. I've been watching women's basketball ever since I was in junior high school. Sometimes it's hard to watch, but when I remember Cynthia Cooper, man, she could play. Cheryl Miller, remember. But anyway, I love watching the women's basketball in college and so on. So I don't watch the WNBA as much as I used to back in the day, but on occasion I do catch it. So anyway, now going to the men's divisions. The funny thing is, I've always wondered when that time would come when a 16 seed would upset a 1 seed. And I just talk about this briefly. For people who never really played sports, the average fan who watch sports, and you could be into sports, but I'll share this with you. There's something about the competition. There's certain things that always stays in your mind, and it don't matter what level you're on. There's just certain things that just stays with you. It could be a win or a loss. It doesn't really matter. Certain plays that you just remember. And it could be something as simple as even playing out on the court. There's just a moment in a time that just stays with you. And so when you're Virginia and you had the kind of season you had, and you only had 2 losses, and you won the ACC, and you beat North Carolina. Okay, the same. You're in the league with Duke, North Carolina State, and all those, powerhouses, right? And you go like 31-2. Okay, so now you're the number 1 seed overall, right? Now, UMBC come in as a 16 seed, and they beat you by 20. They don't just, not a Hail Mary, not a bad call, not a moment in where you, James Brown, and you just have a moment. You throw the ball to James Worthy, one of those moments where you just lose your mind. Not one of those. You just get straight out spanked. And I understand when all the stars line up, when little things happen and you realize that this is supposed to happen, when you UMBC, even though they lost to Kansas the next game, and if you saw that game, evidently they have a style that make you play the way they play, because that game was a 50-43 game where they lost to Kansas State. And the only reason they really lost that game was because they were not making shots like they were when they were playing against Virginia. If they had been making shots like they would have won that game. But I say all of that to say that moment that they beat Virginia, that will last you for the rest of your life, no matter how old you are, no matter your success or your failures. Because even though they lost that the following game, that one night, that one moment will stay with you. And for Virginia, for each player on that team, no matter how many of them may go to the NBA and could win an NBA championship, could go on and become very successful in life, nothing will take away that moment and that feeling of how you lost that game to a 16 seed. No matter what you do in life, it's going to stay with you and it will never go away. Now, how you handle it may be different as you get older, and where you put it may be different when you get older. But that night, that moment, that day, that feeling is going to always be there. And the funny thing that life teaches you, there's really nothing you can do about it. It's an acceptance. It's a matter of putting things in the proper perspective and looking at yourself. But I'm telling you, on both ends, on the winning end, you'll remember that for the rest of your life, no matter what happens, good, bad, or indifferent, the same. And on the losing end, it's the same. That moment, that day, that feeling, that emotion will stay with you no matter what happens. And so as they went and they lost to Kansas State, and sure, they wanted to beat them, and it's not even, and the thing is, when you say this, you go, well, they will go down in history because 20 years from now, they will be talking about that game. But that's not it. If you participated in a game, whether or not you was on the short end of the stick or whether or not you was on the winning end of the stick, 30 years from now, as it will go down in history, and it's really hard to put into words what I'm really trying to say. But I'm trying to tell you that will stay with you for the rest of your life, and there's no substitute for it. There's just not. Anyway, upsets. Was there really any other? Well, yeah, there was. That was the Loyola Chicago. That beat Miami. And the thing is that the Loyola Chicago, and the Nevada, which beat Cincinnati, they also beat Texas. Those are the two Cinderellas, and unfortunately, their meeting, it would have been great if they were playing somebody else. But those are the two Cinderellas, which you got a 7 seed playing an 11 seed. So, and I put on my Facebook, Nevada, you're not the running Rebels, but you go into the Sweet 16. Because anybody that knows anything about basketball in Tarkanian and those running Rebels, for how many years he ruled Nevada and was a major part of college basketball, the running Rebels. and their style and how they played. And haven't heard anything from them since he left. So they're not the Running Rebels, but they're in the Sweet 16. They playing. It's so funny because the 11 seed Loyola. Ooh, wow, geez, Loyola of Chicago. They're making it about, the 98-year-old nun, which is cool, and it's so cool to see her and see her smile and how the kids are really into her. So that's cool. I was really surprised that Florida State came back and won that game against Missouri. I really was. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How they came back and won the game against Xavier. That's what I meant to say. I really didn't expect them to win that game. Xavier always strong. They always have a strong team, and I was very shocked when they came back and they won that game. And they're going up against Gonzaga, and I really don't expect Florida State to win that game, but I could be wrong. Oh, that's what my cousin was talking about. My cousin who lives in Columbus was talking about taking it on the chin. So Gonzaga beat Ohio State. So, okay, I got you. Okay. And Houston in the Michigan game, that ended up being a 1-point game. And I really wanted to ask Vince about this right here. I really wanted to ask him about how Texas A&M just spanked North Carolina. I don't know what happened with that. I mean, I watched part of that game in the first half. Next thing I know, the spanking started taking place. And so the fact that North Carolina this is what I said. Oh, I was watching that game. Oh, yeah, that's right. I was watching the game, and I put it on my Facebook page, and I said, will someone tell Texas A&M that this is not football season, that this is basketball season? Because, Texas A&M always known for their football. Texas A&M doing the do to North Carolina. I get it if it was football. They'll do that to them every year in football. But in basketball, you spanking North Carolina? Oh, my goodness. Come on now. Wow. I mean, you got to love it, man. You got to love March Madness. You got to love it. You can always, questions, comments, you can always hit us up, email us. You make sure that you like us on Facebook, because I stream it and put it on my Facebook page. Also, you can subscribe to us on at the Youth Central Sports on YouTube. You make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like us as well. You can check us out on Twitter, so on and so forth. Again, we come your way every Wednesday. Again, our prayers are going out to Vince Carter Sr. He's recovering from surgery, and we're wishing him well. It's kind of a slow recovery for him, but after surgery, after he fell, he was carrying some packages downstairs, took a misstep, fell, tore something in his knee, and surgery. He sent pictures, and I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing at the picture that he sent, because he showed his walker, and I said, okay, so what did you name the walker? And he just, he thought that was funny, because he was saying how much he was so codependent on that walker now. But he says it's a slow process, and he's healing. So, again, coming to you here, Youth Central Sports, we want to make sure that you check out the Center for Urology, 407-830-4777. We asking you to research the O-shot and the P-shot. Just go to YouTube, put in P-shot and O-shot, and see what comes up, and see if that's something that will work for you. do a little bit of research, got some questions, just call Dr. Woods, call Dr. Jumper, and they'll hit you up. Oh, and by the way, if you tell them that you heard it from Charles on Youth Central Sports, they'll give you a discount. But just don't ask me how much. They'll take a little something off for you. Also, make sure that you join me on Mondays at the journey2020.com. That's www.thejourney2020.com, where I come to you at 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday from 7 to 8, and we talk about some any and everything. And so I want you to join me at thejourney2020.com every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Now, back to the men's NCAA. Syracuse and Michigan State. I was really shocked that Syracuse beat Michigan State. Every year, everybody always talk about the Syracuse zone. And so Syracuse played Duke earlier in the year. And to me, that zone, but I think Duke's style kind of fits playing against the zone because of their spot-up shooters. And if you know anything about playing against the zone, every zone has a weakness. Okay, so you have to know where to put your spot-up shooters. After you have to make strong, fast, quick passes in order for that to work. So with that being said, the way Duke can shoot the ball, and I'm not saying that Duke is going to win, but I would favor Duke to win this game simply because of the style of play, and that would be good for Duke in the sense of their style and how they play what they play. So I'm actually hoping that Syracuse would win, but I'm looking for Duke to win that game. I know North Carolina will probably be hoping that they would lose as well. So if you know anything about the rivalry between North Carolina and Duke, Duke was probably going, y'all got spanked by Texas A&M. All right, so Clemson was all over Auburn, and so be interesting to see, because now we have Clemson and Kansas. Because Seton Hall beat North Carolina State, and Clemson beat New Mexico State, and Auburn beat Charleston, and Syracuse beat TCU in the first round. Those are the first round matches. So in the Sweet 16, you have Kansas and Clemson. Kansas is the number 1 seed. Clemson is the 5th seed. I will go Kansas. It's interesting to see like a football school doing so well in basketball, because when you think of Clemson, you think of football. You don't think of basketball. So it'd be great if they were to, come out of that and make it to the Elite Eight. Okay. And so Syracuse and Duke. I'm hoping that Syracuse is going to win, but I got a feeling Duke spot-up shooters may give them some problems. Texas Tech and Purdue. The funny thing about Texas Tech, Florida started off, and I heard a lot of the sports talk guys talk about how they really was looking for Florida to be a Final Four team. because when Florida was good, they was good, and when they was bad, they was bad. So I've seen in the past where Florida, I've seen at least 2 years when Donovan was there, where their team was good enough to win, good enough to make it to the Final Four. It's like 2 years in a row, and they just did dumb, stupid stuff down at like the last minute of the game to not win. And as a player, not that I'm rooting for Florida, but as a player to see the mental mistakes that you make, no matter what sport it is, you just get kind of frustrated when you see the talent, when you see the talent and see what's on the floor. And it's not that they're not playing hard. It's just that when you see the mental mistakes that are being made and you got a chance to go to the Final Four and you playing a team that you obviously look like you better than, but you make these mental mistakes. And I saw them do that like 2 years in a row. And it's like, wow. And so and I think that's one of the hardest things to teach young, well, not young. That's the hardest thing to teach athletes. It doesn't matter male or female, because there's plenty athletes that have the athletic ability and that can play, but they don't know how to win. They don't know what that means. They know that they're good at their craft. And they know that they can do these things, but they don't know how to win. They don't know when to slow the ball down. They don't know when to change the pace. They don't know where to go or how to set things up in a certain situation, not to see the advantages that you may have in certain situations. I coached a young girl when I was coaching girls basketball, and this girl was very athletic, could play basketball, was very good. And I was trying to teach her, because she was a guard, and I was trying to teach her and get her to understand, because she had one gear and it was just go. And I was trying to get her to understand there's more than one gear. You just can't zoom all the time. You have to know when to slow it down. You have to know when to use your speed to your advantage, or when to just slow, put them to sleep for a minute and know how to do this. But she just had one gear. That was it. And you could see it. You can see the talent. But she didn't understand the concept of how to use it to her advantage. And that would just take time. Some of us, you see it in the pros all the time. And the fact that these guys get to that level and still they don't know how to win. They can ball, they can play their butt off. Or you see it in the quarterback all the time, because you see their decisions. Something as simple as the quarterback. You're in a crucial game and you need 1 yard and you're in the pocket and it's open. All you need to do is run and pick up that first down for that 1 yard. But instead, you're trying to force the ball down the field because you think somebody open. Pick up it's third down. You need 1 yard or you need 2 yards, and there's nobody even close to, if you go run out the pocket, pick up the 2 yards and start all over again. But whatever that is in the quarterback, and I'm just using that as an example of their inability to just something that simple, because you see it all the time. There's nobody even close to you, but you in the pocket because you just used to just being in the pocket. And all you need is 2 yards. And it's right there. Pick up the 2 yards. Let's go again. And it's third down with 2 minutes to go in the game. And you trying to throw it downfield when the sure thing is right there. But your mind, whatever it is going on, Anyway, I'm sorry. Let's get back to the men's basketball. Villanova in West, that would probably be the best game out of the Sweet 16 because I think Villanova, West Virginia with their coach, because every time I see him, I always think that he's still at Cincinnati. I don't know why he left them a long time ago, but I'm serious. Every time I see him, I just automatically think he's at Cincinnati. But he's a good. They play hard. They play the way you're supposed to play. And Villanova been number one a few times during the year, and they probably a favorite because I had actually, to be honest, when I saw what Virginia did to North Carolina in the ACC, and they actually won the ACC, I was picking them to go to the Final Four. I didn't actually fill out a bracket, and I didn't really even look at a bracket. I just overall, I was saying, wow. And they had only lost 2 games all year. Got beat by 16 seed. Anyway, that's sweet. Villanova. And the thing is, when I think of Villanova, I'm thinking about the brother that got fired from Connecticut. They won the championship a few years ago. Now he's out of a job. But I did want to talk with Vince, and we're going to bring that up on Memphis and Penny and how that went down. So when you got it like that, you got it like that. So anyway, yeah. But I'm looking for Villanova to come out of that game against West Virginia. But West Virginia plays hard, so you just never know. So I wouldn't really be shocked if West Virginia won that game. But I'm looking for Villanova to win that game. Texas Tech and Purdue. A 2 versus a 3. A 3 versus a 2, or however you want to say it. Don't know that much about Purdue or Texas Tech. But I know that Butler is always a good team. And Purdue beat Butler. So, I would say, like, for an example, both of those schools are known. Well, actually, Purdue is better known for their basketball than Texas Tech. They both are football schools, but Purdue usually have a better basketball team every year. Just like it's trying to look at Texas A&M beating North Carolina. It's like, wow, really? So I'll say Purdue just because they usually have a pretty good team basketball-wise. In Kansas and Clemson, I think we talked about that briefly. Kansas is the number 1 seed. I'm going to pick Kansas. We talked about Syracuse and Duke. Michigan and Texas A&M. Just based on what they did to North Carolina, I just got to go with Texas A&M. I'm sorry, I'm just going on that, just that alone. I don't, Michigan may win, but I'm just saying if they do that to North Carolina, I gotta favor them. Gonzaga and Florida State. I already said that's Gonzaga. They're tough every year. So I'm giving you my Nevada's and Loyola, Chicago. I don't know why I can't say that name. I've been struggling with it, so, and I know that I am. So, I'm gonna go Nevada. looks like, I think Kentucky is going to make it. Oh, Kansas State and Kentucky. Kansas State and Kentucky. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. Wow. I'll go Kentucky. I will go Kentucky. Okay. Well, with that being said, and we have went over the NCAA men's, I think that's really it. A lot been going on in the NFL. I wanted to bounce some things off of Vince. And let's see if we can do this real quick. Here's Eddie. Check out the Rejuvenation Center.
Hello, my brothers. Are you having a little trouble in the bedroom that's making you feel, well, a little less than? We have the answer for you. A new revolutionary breakthrough solution scientifically proven for men suffering from erectile dysfunction and Peyronie's disease. It's called Gainswave. Yes, Gainswave. Are you ready for increased girth, harder, stronger erections, increased sensation? Gainswave is the answer. Non-surgical, non-invasive, no side effects, no downtime. You need Gainswave, my brother. Call us at Rejuvenation Treatment Center, 407-830-4777. Again, that's Rejuvenation Treatment Center, 407-830-4777, to get you back in the game.
Hi, I'm Dr. Abraham Woods, a urologist in Altamont Springs, Florida. Today, I'd like to get you interested in something that you probably never heard of. There is a shot going around, and it's not the flu shot, that's giving rejuvenation and vitality to women. Now, there are times when women laugh, cough, sneeze, and wet themselves. This same shot helps to correct that problem. If you've never heard of it, there's a shot that's now called the O shot. This shot has a lot to do with giving you back your platelets. Plasma that's rich in your platelets has been shown for years to help with revolutionizing your body. Think about Kobe Bryant, an athlete that had knee trouble. Instead of getting the surgery done, he had injection of his platelets. Now, today, we have available in our office a procedure that can take almost 20, no more than 30 minutes of taking your blood, drawing your plasma, and getting your rich platelets so that we give it back to you in a nice, sterile environment under local anesthesia. This is something we need to talk about. Are you interested? Can we get closer? Look at me at centerforurology.org. I'm Dr. Abraham Woods, and I would like to introduce you to something that may revolutionize your orgasms, your ability to have good sex, removing dyspareunia, that is painful intercourse, removing leakage of urine, and making you more sexual and increasing the capacity for you to obtain and receive better orgasms. Check me out, Dr. Abraham Woods at centerforurology.org, and I would like to help you increase your sexual performance and bring rejuvenation to your life.
Truly get you back into the game. You make sure you contact either Dr. Jumper or Dr. Woods, Center for Urology or the Rejuvenation Center at 407-830-4777. Yes, write that down. Get back into the game. Now, again, I'm Charles Morse, happy to be with you here at Youth Central Sports, where we come to you every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Usually I'm joined by the one and the original Coach Carter, and we tease each other because Coach Carter, that you know from the movie, was actually a guest at one of his events that he brought in as a speaker. Real cool guy, real nice guy. And they went back and forth and they teased each other about who's the Coach Carter. And Vince goes, "You the famous Coach Carter. I'm the original Coach Carter," because Vince is older, so they go back, so they tease. But anyway, he's a really nice guy with some fantastic stories. And he said in the movie it was like over 90% true of that movie. and he shared some other things as well. But if you ever get a chance to hear him speak, please, you will enjoy. Very, very, very good speaker, and I'm not just saying that because, you know, we sat down at the table and talked, but he's a very good speaker. All right. Talking about the NIT, where Western Kentucky did win tonight. The Utah St. Mary game is going on right now. So they're trying to reach the Final Four in the NIT as well. So with that being said, a great deal of moves are being made in the NFL, I did want to talk with Vince about Sherman going to, gosh, I'm messing with the wrong mouse, to the 49ers are being let go by the Seattle. What he thought about that. Also, I want to ask him this question, if I can. Out of the four quarterback, Kirk Cousins and Casey Keenum and Sam Bradford and Teddy Bridgewater, which one you think is going to have the most effect or would have the best play this coming year based on their teams and where they end up going? It's kind of interesting that Teddy Bridgewater actually ended up at the Jets, which I thought that he probably would have, but I think the shock was Sam Bradford going to the Cardinals. So with Kansas City getting rid of Smith, which I thought that was interesting because he's a steady quarterback. He's a steady, but you know, those guys, whatever reason they do what they do, they plug and play. They pull them and they plug them and they do what they do. So, with Richard Sherman going to the 49ers, leaving the Seattle was not like he had a choice, but he did have a choice on where else he could have gone. But he said he know that they play against him twice a year. So, but and I wanted to ask him, does he think that Seattle will make the playoff next year? But anyway, I know that you're looking forward to the Sweet 16, and I do, and I do enjoy watching the Women NCAA as well. I do enjoy watching the NIT. I always watch it when they do go to Madison Square Garden, and when the Final Four make it to Madison Square Garden. I do make a point to watch that every year. And baseball season is kicking off, so I know that they're talking about starting up a new football league because, summer is so slow when it comes to sports. It's like America's starving for something because, that's just how we are. We have nothing. We don't know what to do with ourselves. And so if they do it right, I have a theory on how they should do it, but not that they would listen to me and what I have to say. But what seems to drive everything is money, which I understand that part. But I think if they really thought it out and just do the simple, common thing, it would be extremely successful. But sometimes the most common thing that makes sense, they pay no attention to, which blows my mind. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. If you're playing football in the summer, there's no way that you should pick any team. Like, for an example, if you pick a team in Orlando, you should never play a game before 7 p.m. No 2 o'clock game, no 3 o'clock game, no 1 o'clock game in June or July. All of your games should be played after 7. hands down, unless there's a dome. If you have a dome, that's different. So if you have a day game in the summer, make sure that all of your teams are a dome team. If not, make sure all of your games are after 7 p.m. That's just plain common sense. I don't know. That just blows my mind. I just don't understand how they don't think of stuff like that. That you're out there playing football in 90-degree weather. That's crazy. I mean, I know in the past they had fans and fainting and players. You know, it's just not good. Football is not made to be played in 94-degree weather. Just make sure all of your games are after 7. So, with that being said, we're going to wish Vince a speedy recovery once again. And we ask that you join us at the Journey 2020 every Monday at 7 p.m. from 7 to 8. The Journey 2020. www.thejourney2020.com. From 7 to 8, you can join us. And we'll be happy to have you. And if you would like to send us a shout out, you can. Text us during the show. You can do that too. Or if you have any ideas, if you would like to come on the show, you can always email us. Love to hear from you as well. So if you see, I got a cat who decided that she wants to come and take part of the show. Her name is Lily. That's Lily. As you see, a mind of her own. I'm Charles Morse, and happy to have you with us here on Youth Central Sports. And Mr. Carter, I said this last week that he would be back this week, but a slow recovery. And honestly, what it is that I think he's more comfortable upstairs when he's doing the show because he's in Tennessee now. So I think him going up the stairs where he wants to be to do the show is a little challenging for him right now. So I guess that's where his computer is, or his laptop, or his tablet. So with that being said, we just want to say, Vince, please get well soon. We miss you. And the show is not the same because it's hard sitting here. Just me. But I am going to bring you the show every week. And we're going to be doing more interacting. And we're actually going to set it up where you can actually come on and give you a website to go to. And if you have a webcam, then you can join us and give us your comment, talk for, give you a couple of minutes to come on and talk. Then the next person come on and talk. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of your week. For those in the Northeast, please take care of yourself. We are so happy that they caught the bomber that's in Texas. Unfortunately, he took his life, but whatever that was about. And I understand that he left a 25-minute video reason why. Don't know if they're going to make that public, but we pray for the families who lost their loved ones. We pray for the ones that are hurt. And we just pray overall that the things that we're missing in our lives can be filled with that in which we can have the proper perspective and the attitude toward walking our walk and living this life and doing what we need to do to fulfill our purpose of this day that we've been blessed with. And I want to say with you and to you, thank you so very much. I'm Charles Morris. Enjoy the rest of your week here at Youth Central Sports. You be blessed.